Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me here today on the Cabral HouseCalls, the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept. Can't wait to dive into our questions every single weekend. I literally look forward to seeing what our community is asking, because the truth is, one, my goal is to always pay it forward. I made that promise back when I was 19 years old, sitting in my first natural health doctor's office. And I said, listen, I don't know what this is all about, but if I get well, I'm going to share this with the world. And it's funny, that was me, I guess, beginning of or end of freshman year of college. And I've tried, it's been a wild ride. I'll tell you that. I've been trying to pay it forward ever since I did get well in my later 20s. And it's been a wild ride since then, but very much appreciate it and very much appreciate everybody that's been on this journey with me. Cabral Concept came out in about 2016, and we've just been doing a daily show since, just trying to present to you what we see in our practice, seeing well over 100,000 people a year with different protocols, lab testing, and much more. So let's dive right in. Let's see what this weekend's questions are all about. First one looks like it's from Mike. Mike says, thank you, Dr. Cabral, for all you do. I'd like for you to read this question to yourself before reading out loud. Wow, okay, let's see what Mike has to say. To some people, this could be disgusting. All right, so before I even look at what the next line is, just so all of you know, if you're new to the show, I don't do any prep work for the weekend house calls. My goal is the same as it always is. I bump into somebody at an airport, at a live event, whatever it might be. You ask me a question. I want to give you a couple-minute answer. I feel you deserve that. I really do. And so let's see what it is. And again, I answer all questions. So I find it hard to believe that we can't read it on the air, but we will see. It is a family show. There's no adult language. There's no swearing. Well, there's adult language, but it's human language, right? We talk about our biology. We talk about ourselves. And so all of that is always talked about. Okay. So Mike says, let's see, what can we learn from our stool size, color, texture, smell, amount, and frequency? Okay. Yeah, I get it. I understand, what you're saying, that you might, people might not like to hear about that, especially, of course, if they're having breakfast listening to the Cabral Concept. So you can pause it if you need to. That's okay. But it's a legitimate question because your bowel movements tell you about your health. That's the truth. We ask about it on every single questionnaire. People are like, why are you asking about my bowel movements? So if you're not into natural health, you wouldn't really understand. But if you have loose stool, that's a huge issue. Like, that's a huge issue with absorption, with pH levels in the intestine, with the osmosis, with electrolyte balance. So it's very important. Constipation, same thing. It can be reabsorption of estrogen inside the body and so much more. So, all of this matters. I actually did a podcast, Mike, on this, but it was way back on the Cabral Concept. I'm going to go to StephenCabral.com. I never usually look them up. StephenCabral.com/podcasts. And you can literally just type in, I titled the show Poop because I was trying to be a little tongue-in-cheek. It's episode 431, it looks like. But if you ever can't find a show, write in at CabralSupportGroup.com. We have an amazing team, and no doubt they can find you the show. All right, so what your poop says about you, that's episode 431. It's going to talk to you all about what normal, healthy poop should look like. And then if it's not, what if it's like pebbles, or it's very thin like a pencil, or you have loose stool, or you have constipation, or you don't have 1 to 2 bowel movements per day, or if it's a dark black color or a green color, what all of that can mean. So Mike, I have a whole episode dedicated for you and for anybody who wants to learn more on this topic. And it looks like that's just at StephenCabral.com/431. Let's just make sure that. Let's click on that show title for you, and we'll be good to go. How do we look? Yep, there we are, 431. All right. Let us know if you have any questions, but it is there. All right, Spencer's up next. Spencer says, I've been experiencing shakiness, jitteriness for a decent amount of years now. I've had some extended chronic stress. I ran the Big Five recently. My adrenals were tanked, and I likely have some fungal yeast bacterial overgrowth based on my organic acids test. I tried the CBO 2 years ago, but my body was just too burnt out and stressed that no protocol would work. I started working on my nervous system and therapy, which have been helping a ton. I plan to do the CBO again at the end of this year. I also had some mycotoxin markers elevated, mostly black mold, likely for my job, which I still have 1 more year at, so I don't want to focus too much on it. Do you have any advice for me in the meantime? I think more frequent smaller meals could help, but my diet is limited because of SIBO and gut issues. All right, I totally understand. So I get it. You've got gut-based issues, yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth. You've got some mold in there. So eventually, I agree. You want to get to the CBO protocol with the citrus drops. Then you want to move into the CBO finisher and at the same time do the mold protocol. That's the best way. So I agree with you. That's a great way to do it. But let's strengthen your body in the meantime. So first thing I would do is if you haven't read the rain barrel effect, read the rain barrel effect. Then begin to empty the rain barrel. You'll do a little bit of dry brushing, a little bit of like rebounding or just jumping lightly to get the lymphatic system moving, or just self-massage. You could do coffee enemas if you want, but don't make them too strong because of the adrenal-based issues. You don't have to, again, you can just do that once a week if you wanted to. You can try a little bit of light sauna, but you'll want to use some electrolytes, no doubt about that, because when your adrenals aren't all that great, you want to be able to supply them with a steady flow of sodium and potassium, not just sodium. And then getting to sleep earlier so we can improve the adrenals, using maybe some full spectrum magnesium at dinner and a little adrenal soothe at dinner to calm that central nervous system. So I agree. Get your body in strong working order. I don't usually suggest, the small frequent meals throughout the day because that takes a lot of energy for digestion, right? But in your case, I probably do recommend the breakfast, lunch, mid-afternoon snack, and dinner. So maybe you eat at 8 a.m., 11:30 a.m., 3 p.m., and maybe 5:30 p.m. And 3 p.m. might be an easy smoothie or some fruit or maybe some nuts or something like that might work well for you. So Spencer, I think you're on the right track, no doubt about it. Get yourself lined up. Still get to work on yourself now because there's so much that you can do. Read the Rain Barrel Effect if you haven't already. It's free. Just head on over to stephencabral.com/free book and you'll find it right there. All right, Rachel's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Over the past 12 to 20 months, I've noticed my mother, 72, has this ongoing sort of dry throat combination that results in coughing if she does not continue having lozenges in the morning throughout the day. She drinks water and coffee in the morning and is pretty well hydrated. This was never a recurring issue until recent. I've tried to tell her body may be telling her something. What do you think it could be? And what would you recommend to a family member? I also worry eating these Ricola lozenges every day is masking the issues and disrupting her mouth gut microbiome, like say the wrong toothpaste would. Thoughts? Okay, happy to help with this. And it is interesting. I talk about this in IHP and HPH, High Performance Health, all the time with the group. Once the body gets to about 65 years old or so, give or take 5 years to 7 years for most people. So late 50s to early 70s. The body becomes far more catabolic, like far more catabolic. That means bone loss, muscle loss, weakness, drop in max VO2, everything, if you are not doing anything to prevent it. And even in Ayurvedic medicine, okay, you have a kapha-based stage as a child through teenage years. Then as you go through later puberty, through about 30-ish, you go through pitta-based stages, and then it starts to slow a little bit, but you're still in pitta. Once you get to mid-50s or so to 65, then you're in the more vata-based stage, and it's more catabolism and breakdown. So what do we need to do? Well, at that stage, we increase protein a little bit. We might start using some creatine. We definitely want to do 2 days a week of strength training, maybe 3, but definitely 2. Get your steps going. Like you need to really work on it because if not, everything becomes more catabolic, and same with saliva production, believe it or not. Loss of taste and smell start to go. It's not just zinc deficiency. There's literally neurochemicals that aren't functioning the same way if we allow them to, right? Because people are also nutrient deprived. And so okay, we've got the aging part of it, but again, we can work on that, right? We have the medications. Last time I checked, and I'm going to do a podcast on this, there's it's at least 300 to 400 medications that cause dry mouth. Okay, so just letting you know that there's Barrett's esophageal, which can happen with people, especially with immune-based disorders, and they're taking immunologic-based drugs. That's a nice way of saying they're literally putting on immunosuppressants for things like rheumatoid arthritis. There's also silent reflux. There's postnasal drip-based issues. There can be, yes, the person's drinking water, but they're not absorbing it because of electrolyte deficiency. So you want to look at, potentially adding in some electrolytes, which would be helpful. It could just be some sea salt and some lime or lemon to taste, or it can actually be electrolyte-based powders. That's up to you. So I think that's a good place to start. And I'm definitely going to be doing a whole show just on dry mouth because so many people write in with it. So I'm definitely going to do more for sure. But let's start there. And the very basics for people nutrient-wise is the daily foundational protocol level 2. And if you're over 45, 50, definitely foundational protocol level 3, daily nutritional support, daily fruit and vegetable blend. You got a ton of electrolytes there. You've got your daily probiotic, your daily digestive enzyme, and you've got your omega-3s. Like without a doubt, that's your minimum. And you can actually just take them as the daily essentials packs. Easy for older adults as well. Anyone really. Just take one at breakfast, one at dinner. That's it. Covers you for everything. So super easy, daily essential packs. You can find all this, all the labs, everything of what we do in our practice at stevencabral.com/shop. All right, let's check out the next question. Next question is from Rachel. Same Rachel? Same Rachel. All right. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Can you give me a brief breakdown on what we should really be concerned about high cholesterol, if we should be concerned about high cholesterol, if we don't have any other contraindications? I know statins are a $1 billion industry and really don't have much efficacy. My mom is 72. Her blood work came back with LDL around 163. She's active, always doing yard work, has been lifting 3 times a week for the last 2 years, and eats a whole food diet, eats high protein. Well, there we go. You're already doing a lot of these things, Rachel, with your mom. So that's great. Barely process anything. She sleeps great. So your mom may also have allergies too. You want to check for that because that can cause some of this dryness, especially with working outside. And HisPro can be a great product as well. All right. Her only health concern is osteoporosis. I don't believe she should worry about this factor. But for years, she's seen the headlines about high cholesterol. All right. So you said, what would you do if it was your mom? Right. Because I can't give any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. Thank you, Rachel, for reminding me. I very much appreciate that. So, here's the thing. And I do have another show coming out on this as well. I look at it like this. There's no way you should go by one single marker for cholesterol. So a good way to look at it is, let's look at just basic numbers. Total cholesterol over HDL. So if your total cholesterol is, let's say it's 240. All right, so it's high, right? It's elevated. It's above 180, 200. Okay, so it's 240. But let's say that your HDL is 80. That's a 3-to-1 ratio. So you're doing pretty well, right? So total cholesterol to HDL, so we'll call it your good cholesterol, we'll say non-oxidized HDL, that's pretty good. You want to be at a 3-to-1 ratio, at least a 3.5 or less. Okay, good. And then let's say you run your triglycerides as well, and your triglycerides are 75, not the 150 that they allow, but under 100. Okay, then yeah, you're doing really well. Good. And let's say you also run your homocysteine, and your homocysteine is like a 7, because you want it between like a 6.5 and a 9. Great. And you run your CRP, your HSCRP, and it's a 0.5. Amazing. So then I don't really consider HDL then to be as big of an issue. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like all your other heart markers and inflammatory markers look really good. And your hemoglobin A1C for blood sugar, let's say it's below a 5.6. So it's like you don't look at just one marker, right? So I don't think that, I know that there's a lot of side effects to statins as well. It is not a side effect free drug. That is for sure. Talk about shutting down your heart's energy production. That's what a statin basically does. Yes, you produce less cholesterol, but you also shut down the ATP in one of the largest muscles, maybe one of the most important muscles in the body, the heart, right? So really important. I will be doing a follow-up show with advanced cholesterol-based metrics, looking at ApoB, looking at lipoprotein little a, looking at small dense lipoproteins, LDLs, looking at LDLP. I'm going to give you a bunch of stats to look at and how to run an advanced heart panel if you choose to, because cholesterol does matter. I don't want to say that it doesn't. A lot of people say there's just doctors saying that he has cholesterol or LDL of, not cholesterol. His LDL, which by the way, is supposed to be below 110, ideally below 100, is a 300. And somehow proud of that is wild. That's not okay information to share with people. Meaning yes, you can share it, but you can't say that it's okay. That is not okay. Having LDL of 300 is not okay. Because yes, you might be okay at this present moment in time and even be in great shape, but what is it potentially doing to your arteries, cell membranes, and brain? I think we want to be really careful there, especially if you have an ApoE genotype of a 3, 4, or 4, 4. You definitely don't want to be on a high-fat diet at that specific genotype. But again, it's only 26% of the population, but it's still 1 out of 4 people walking around, right? So it's still a lot of people. So unfortunately, there's too many internet doctors who don't actually work with people, and they cherry pick studies, and it drives me crazy because the information is so dangerous for the general public and they're so popular, right? So it's an issue. But Anyway, I'm one person, but together we're a lot of people, so keep passing the information out to each other. Keep sharing it. All right, one more question for the day from Anonymous. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for all that you do and your amazing team do for our health community. Thank you, Anonymous. You are my go-to and the one I trust with all my health concerns. I appreciate that. My question has to do with Botox and fillers that so many young and older women seem to have become so captivated by and are convinced this is how they retain a youthful look. I have never tried it and have no intention of doing so, but I know so many who have, and I'm concerned for them. Their facial features, their eyes, cheekbones, lips, etc., no longer look natural at all. I assume once they start this routine, they have to continue to maintain the effects, even though they don't realize they're changing their looks. What are the chemicals in Botox? Okay, got it. Let me answer this for you. So one of the things, and then this will be our last question for the day. So Botox has been around for a while, so I'm not going to say that it hasn't. There are some side effects. Some people say they are getting autoimmune-based conditions because of it. I don't know. I haven't seen a big tie because, again, I like to be honest. I personally don't use Botox. Nobody that I know, my close inner family, uses it. But I do have colleagues, that's for sure. A lot of people in the anti-aging industry use it. And, here's the thing. It is a neurotoxin. It's derived from Clostridium-based bacteria. And it essentially paralyzes and weakens certain muscles. So it relaxes them. And then you don't get the wrinkles. Like I've got crow's feet since I was like 6, and I'm very proud of them. When I smile, I've got laugh lines. Like it's just like, that's the way that it is. But I also get that some people don't want that. And I'm actually okay with that. Like that's people's life is so short that I want people to live it and I want them to love it. Right. And so if they're using this, I think they just have to be careful of how does their body react to it. It does only last for 3 to 4 months. And so you're right. So I think maybe 6 months is probably the longest. I'm not an expert in this space, but then they have to continue to redo it. Now, there's now more of a trend of like microdosing Botox. So it's not like the completely flaccid, flat look to the face where like the eyebrows can't move, nothing can move, but it's a smaller amount. So there's some movement and some maybe graceful aging, but not as much. So there is some negative side effects. It's a purified neurotoxin, but it's still a neurotoxin that you're putting in your body. There are at least some anecdotal reports of it leading to autoimmune-based issues. But for the most part, people seem to be doing okay on it. That doesn't mean that I recommend it. It doesn't mean that I necessarily say this is something that you should do. But again, I like to be as honest as I can be. And I'm always 100% honest, that's for sure, to my detriment, I think, especially on social media. But that's what I see right now. Okay. So again, not something that I plan to use, not something that I necessarily recommend, but I get why people are using it. And I would just be careful with overdoing it, use as little as possible, and just understand that there can be side effects, especially whenever you're putting bacteria and a neurotoxin into the body. All right, that is it for today's show. We will be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions on our Cabral House Calls. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.